So, we are discussing about this chronic gastritis. So, three stages we discussed about this chronic gastritis. That is superficial gastritis, phases of chronic gastritis. Three phases we are discussing. That is superficial gastritis, then atrophic gastritis, superficial gastritis, which shows the intact, separates the intact gastric glands, which shows the edema of this lamina propria, the surface mucosa with edema, and there is cellular infiltrations which separates the intact gastric glands. In atrophic gastritis, there is destruction of these glands, and in case of this final stage, that is gastric atrophy occurs and all glandular structures are lost, and there is a paucity of inflammatory infiltrate. Okay. Then in pernicious anemia, that is type A, we are discussing about type A. It is associated with acyle gastrica. Microscopically, there is mucous membrane. It is become atrophic with few mucous glands infiltrated with leukocytes and lymphoid aggregates in the submucosa. So extension of these lesions up to the submucosa. The mucosa of pylorus and fundus are transformed into that of intestinal type due to metaplasia. Uh, am I audible to you?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. The mucosa of pylorus and fundus are transferred into that of intestinal type due to metaplasia, and the fundic glands may undergo change like that of pyloric glands. Okay, this part we discussed in previous lecture. Now next, the interglandular connective tissues and the muscularis mucosa become thickened. So the interglandular connective tissues and the muscularis mucosa, there is inflammation. It transformed in that particular area, and due to inflammation and edema, they become thick, they become thickened. In pernicious anemia, there is extreme atrophy of stomach wall, and is especially seen in the upper two-thirds of stomach without affecting the pyloric antrum or the duodenum. So in case of pernicious anemia, the more affected lesion or more affected part is upper two-thirds of stomach. Okay. So there is extreme and it always it is related with extreme atrophy of the stomach wall, and always it is related with type A, that is autoimmune chronic gastritis, type A gastritis. This the main cause of this gastritis is pernicious anemia. Okay, so pernicious anemia is of autoimmune type of this. There is destruction of this parietal cells is a autoimmune destruction. The stomach wall is extremely become thin and shows abrupt change near the pyloric mucosa. The pyloric antrum it is remain unaffected, but the pyloric mucosa, the near to that pyloric mucosa, the stomach wall, it become very much thin. In the fundus, the oxantic and peptic cells disappears entirely. In the fundus, that is in the fundus part of the stomach, the oxantic and the peptic glands, they get disappears, totally disappears. So these are some characteristic changes we discussed up till now. That is the mucosa, the mucous membrane, it become more rugosed, it become more intestinal type of mucosa, the pyloric gland change into that of fundus type, and there is a totally vanishing of this particular glands. Okay. Now, Just we revise our this particular changes of this particular microscopic changes of type A gastritis, type A chronic gastritis, that is autoimmune type, that is in pernicious anemia. So here the mucous membrane is atrophic, very few mucous glands infiltrated with the leukocyte. The mucosa of pylorus and the fundus are transformed into that of intestinal type due to metaplasia, and the fundic glands may undergo change like that of pyloric glands. Then there is interglandular thickness of this interglandular connective tissue. It is increased, and there is extreme atrophy of stomach wall is seen in this particular upper two-thirds of the stomach get affected, and it become extremely thin. The wall become extremely thin near to the pyloric mucosa, and in the fundus, the oxantic and peptic cells disappears entirely. So these are some changes occurs in case of type A gastritis. Second, that is B, Helicobacter pylori associated chronic gastritis, that is type B. Okay, it is Helicobacter pylori associated chronic gastritis. Now just we have discussed about the pathogenesis. What is the role of this Helicobacter pylori in case of inflammation? Yes, what is that role? Anyone of you remembering? Yes.
It creates urease
Yes.
converted into ammonia.
Urea can get converted into ammonia. So Helicobacter pylori releases,
Ammonia.
the pylori releases urease, and this urease
Urease, which
converts
converts urea into ammonia.
where this
Ammonia.
urea is present. Yes, where this urea present? In the blood plasma. This urea is present in very less amount in the plasma. Okay, which get converted into ammonia, and when
Ammonia.
inflammation, this blood flow increases, and there is formation of alkaline atmosphere. Okay,
Which induces the inflammation.
inflammation. So this about 80% of chronic gastritis cases that of this type. Okay, Helicobacter pylori associated chronic gastritis, that is type B. Etiology: Helicobacter pylori is a gram-negative Vibrio-like microbe which is specially adapted to colonize the gastric mucosa. So it looks like Vibrio, okay, Vibrio cholerae. It looks like Vibrio cholerae, that is, it has the filaments. In inflammation in pathogenesis picture, we have seen that particular this how this Helicobacter pylori looks. That is, they have filament like flagellas. Okay, so this they look like Vibrio, and they are gram-negative microbes. Okay, and more adapted to colonize in the gastric mucosa. Now, what are the sites get affected with this type B gastritis? The antrum and the pyloric canal, particularly. This form of gastritis increases with the age. As the age increases, this type B gastritis also increases. Now, this morphological changes, they are essentially superficial with inflammation involving the upper half of the mucosa. Now, what are the changes? What are the histological changes that occurs? That is, these lesions, they are superficial again with inflammation, which involves the upper half of the mucosa. There is numerous bacteria as we can see in the surface mucous membrane, and the mucosal surface is intact in that particular lesions, and there is mild focal damages in the crypts. What are the crypts? That is the folds, in between the folds. The mild focal damage we can see in the crypts, and increase in the population of lymphocytes and plasma cells. As the chronicity increases, the lymphocyte, the amount of lymphocyte increases, the amount of polymorphs get decreases. So here in case of this type B gastritis, that is Helicobacter pylori originated gastritis, there is numerous bacteria we can see in the surface mucous membrane. The mucous surface get injected, but there are mild focal damage in the crypts, not in or mucosal surface, but these changes we can see in the crypts, that is in the folds, and there is with increased population of lymphocytes and plasma cells. Here we can see the picture of this multifocal atrophic H. pylori related gastritis and autoimmune gastritis. Okay, that is type A. Type A. Here there is atrophy here with normal antrum we can see here, and in case of multifocal this H. pylori related gastritis, this antral gastritis we can see antral gastritis, and here the inflammation here in this part is very much less in the body, and the fundus there is very much less inflammation, but here in case of autoimmune, here this part get atrophied, more and more get atrophied. Okay.
Ma'am, your
Yes.
voice is breaking.
Yes.
मॅम तुमचा आवाज थोडासा अडखळतोय, स्पष्ट येत नाहीये.
ब्रेक होतोय का आवाज? Okay, you can see the pictures, no? You can take screenshots, okay? Because of something, I think net problem, my voice may be get interrupted. So this multifocal, that is H. pylori gastritis, very less inflammation here, but here it is more atrophy in autoimmune, that is type A, and this is H. pylori related, that is type B. We can see the difference between this particular lesions. Here the antrum is normal in case of type A gastritis, but type B there is antral gastritis. The gastritis is more in case of antrum. Antral lesion is more get involved in case of H. pylori. Okay. Now, these are the characteristic of Helicobacter pylori associated with autoimmune gastritis. Now, this is differentiation type A and type B. Type A, the inflammatory infiltrate is lymphocytes and macrophages. Type B, neutrophils and subepithelial plasma cells. Okay, inflammatory infiltrate. Acid production is decreased in type A because of more destruction in the parietal cells, and here the acid production is increased, so slightly to slightly decrease, increase to slightly decrease, but moreover it is increased because of this the inflammation is more in case of this type B, H. pylori related chronic gastritis. The gastrin, it is increased in type A, and here it is normal or decreased in type B. Okay, H. pylori related. Gastrin, why it is increased in case of type A? Yes. Okay. Other lesions, that is hyperplastic inflammatory polyps, we can see in type B, and neuroendocrine hyperplasia we can see in type A. That is autoimmune. Type A is autoimmune variety. Serologically, antibodies we can see to H. pylori, and here the antibodies to the parietal cells we can see. It is intrinsic factor, antibodies to the parietal cells, that is it is antibodies they are related with in this intrinsic factor, okay, against that intrinsic factor. Sequel, that is peptic ulcers and adenocarcinoma we can see in type B, okay, because of polypoid, that it is moreover inflammatory and polypoid growth, so sequel is ended with this adenocarcinoma. But type B autoimmune variety, it is atrophy is more in this case, pernicious anemia, adenocarcinoma is there, and carcinoid tumors. Now associates, low socio-economic status, poverty, residence in rural areas, type B, okay, H. pylori related chronic gastritis, and type A, autoimmune disease, that is thyroiditis, diabetes mellitus, or Graves' disease. So these are the characteristics of H. pylori associated autoimmune gastritis. So very important plate. Now, what are the pathological clinical features of acute gastritis and chronic gastritis? Acute gastritis, there is rapid onset of gastric pain and discomfort. The onset is very much rapid. It is acute. The pain is always is more, and discomfort is also more in case of acute gastritis. Chronic gastritis, the vague report of epigastric pain that is relieved by food. This pains in the chronic gastritis, they get relieved by food. But in acute gastritis, there is rapid onset and these pains could not get relieved by food. Acute gastritis, there is nausea and vomiting. Chronic gastritis, there is anorexia. There is loss of appetite. Anorexia is more in case of chronic gastritis. Then hematemesis, that is vomiting of blood in case of acute gastritis. You could remember the what are the types of acute gastritis? Yes, type of lesions of acute gastritis.
Hemorrhagic lesions and stress
Stress
lesions.
lesions. So in case of stress lesions, this hematemesis is more in case of acute gastritis because of these lesions. They are hemorrhagic. Okay. So hematemesis. What is hematemesis? Vomiting of blood. Chronic gastritis, there is nausea and vomiting. Acute gastritis, it is related with gastric hemorrhage. Okay. Chronic gastritis, there is intolerance of fatty and spicy food. Chronic gastritis, it is related with intolerance of fatty and spicy food. And acute gastritis, it is related with gastric hemorrhages. Then dyspepsia, it is common in acute gastritis, that is heartburn. And chronic gastritis, the marked feature is pernicious anemia. Okay. And later on, after dyspepsia, there is anorexia in case of acute gastritis. It is not the first feature, it is the last feature of acute gastritis, but the first feature of chronic gastritis is anorexia. Vague epigastric pains are there with discomfort, which get relieved after food. And there is anorexia and because of pernicious, and as there is anemia, there is anorexia. Okay, because always anorexia and anemia goes hand in hand. Okay, as there is HB percentage is less, then B12 folic acid is less, so oxygen carrying capacity become less. There is the feeling of that is hunger feeling is become less, so food is less. Again, there is more and more anoxia of the RBCs. So this is the vicious cycle of anemia. So it is always anemia, it is associated with anorexia. So both of these features, they always go hand in hand, and they are the characteristic features of chronic gastritis. Okay. And acute gastritis, always all the features, they are acute and they are very much sudden, rapid. Okay. With nausea and vomiting, headache, nausea, vomiting. Then sometimes there is hematemesis. Okay. And dyspepsia, heartburn. It is also a marked feature of in case of acute gastritis. So today we ended with this our section of gastritis. They can ask this gastritis for 5 marks or maybe of 10 mark, but rarely it is asked for 10 mark. Commonly it is for 5 marks only, 5 or 2 marks. Okay. So gastritis, if you want, you can take again the screenshots of, or any queries are there, you can ask. We can discuss with the queries about gastritis. So the main causes of gastritis, see, these are the Helicobacter pylori. These are the flagella like lesions at one end of this Helicobacter, vibrio-like structures. And the main cause of gastritis is bacterial, that is blood-borne irritants, and the surface irritants. Healthy stomach, the stomach with gastritis, it looks more inflamed, more inflammation is there, damaged stomach lining. The mucosa of stomach is get inflamed. And in case of chronic, whenever the disease become chronic, it may get extend up to the submucosa. Okay. Yes, any queries? So gastritis is of two types, that is acute and chronic. Acute gastritis, it has two lesions, hemorrhagic and stress lesions. About the stress, what is the effect of the stress, we are going to go in detail whenever we are going to study the peptic ulcers. Okay, what is the role of stress? Now, etiology of this acute gastritis: surface irritants, alcohol, acute fever, drugs, NSAIDs, which shows because of this there is the gastric mucosa become inflamed, red, and shows catarrhal changes. Now, pathogenesis that we discussed. Pathogenesis, that is H. pylori produces urease, which converts urea into ammonia and which creates the localized alkaline medium, which induces inflammation. And there is entry of polymorphs, mononuclear cells. Okay, this is the pathogenesis of gastritis. In this picture, we can see this particular bacteria. They get connected with this entered from the blood. This is blood-borne infection. Indirect irritants, and they produces here the atmosphere, which gives rise to induces inflammation. This inflammation gives rise to damage, mucosal damage. Okay, then chronic gastritis, two types: autoimmune associated gastritis, and type B, it is because of this Helicobacter pylori induced gastritis, that is type B. So all these things, you please take screenshots, and if there are any queries, you can ask me. Yes? Any queries related to this today's topic?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So next lecture will be on peptic ulcers. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So that one
Okay, ma'am.
part of discussion is remaining, that is nephrotic syndrome, I think, last time. Okay, we discussed about acute glomerulonephritis, and discussion of nephrotic syndrome is left. So could you tell me what is nephrotic syndrome? Yes. Yes, nephrotic syndrome.
Excretion of excessive protein.
Excessive protein. Then
Damage.
yes.
Damage to blood vessels.
Blood vessels. No, what are the characteristic features of nephrotic syndrome as comparing with glomerulonephritis? Yes.
Ma'am, in glomerulonephritis there is oliguria, but in nephrotic syndrome there is excessive water in the urine.
Yes, not excessive, but it is normal. Normal flow of this urine. There is no oliguria.
Yes.
Okay, not excessive, but it is normal flow of urine. So anything else other than this? So nephrotic syndrome, it is associated with excessive loss of protein. So proteinuria. This because of more loss of protein, that is hypoproteinemia. Okay,
Yes.
there is
Yes, ma'am.
hypoproteinemia, and yes,
Swelling.
yes, edema and hypertension.
Hypertension.
Okay, so it is characterized with proteinuria, hypoproteinemia, edema, and hypertension.
Edema and hypertension.
Okay, so this is nephrotic syndrome. Now, what are the pathological changes that occurs whenever we do pathological test? What are the changes we can see? more proteins, that is 4 plus proteins. They are 4
4
plus.
plus.
In case of acute glomerulonephritis, the protein loss is 1 to 2 plus. Here 4 to 5 plus proteins are there. Then presence of RBCs, okay, epithelial cells in the urine. As there is more loss of proteins, the liver tries to synthesize more proteins. So in that particular act, there is more synthesis of lipoproteins associated with these proteins, plasma proteins. There is more synthesis of lipoproteins. So there is the cholesterol levels of blood get rises in case of nephrotic syndrome. Cholesterol get rises in case of nephrotic syndrome. But as the blood flow, as the urine filtration is not hampered, there is the serum creatine and urea levels, they are normal in case of nephrotic syndrome. But they get affected in case of acute glomerulonephritis. Okay. So please study these two topics by, as a comparative level. Okay. We will discuss them while starting the next lecture. Maybe probably it is on Friday or Saturday. Okay. Next lecture. So, before
Okay,
going
ma'am.
towards peptic ulcer, we will discuss about nephrotic syndrome. So, please read it carefully, okay, with comparative study. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So, today we will stop our
Okay, ma'am.
lecture. Okay. So, tomorrow, next lecture will be on Friday.
Okay, ma'am.